Jasmine Crockett's fearless delivery and sharp wit dismantled Ivanka Trump's arguments with precision in a way that revealed not only her skill as a debater, but also her ability to seize control of a moment under intense pressure. From the very first exchange, Crockett exuded confidence that radiated through her tone, body language, and choice of words. She understood that when facing a figure like Ivanka Trump, whose influence is often bolstered by her father's legacy and her carefully curated image, it was not enough to simply respond with fact. What Crockett brought to the table was a mixture of authenticity, command of the issues, and the sharp-edged wit that made her remarks sting in real time. Viewers could see the way her delivery cut through the polished, often rehearsed style of Ivanka, transforming what could have been a dry policy exchange into a dramatic and captivating moment that exposed deeper truths. What made Crockett's dismantling of Ivanka's argument so powerful was her ability to call out contradictions without hesitation. Ivanka attempted to present herself as a polished advocate of certain values, often leaning on vague platitudes and softened language that could appeal broadly without committing to substance. Crockett, however, was unwilling to let those generalities stand unchallenged. Each time Ivanka tried to sidestep with a polished statement, Crockett met her with precise rebuttals that highlighted the gaps between rhetoric and reality. Her delivery was not only fearless in content but also in form. She did not stumble, she did not hesitate, and she maintained eye contact that conveyed a level of control Ivanka could not match. This combination of clarity and boldness transformed the moment into something more than just a disagreement. It became a masterclass in how to hold someone accountable on live television. Crockett's wit played an equally central role in dismantling Ivanka's position. While Ivanka leaned heavily on a soft-spoken style meant to deflect tension, Crockett used her sharp humor and quick thinking to cut through that veneer. Every time Ivanka tried to lean on her family name or portray herself as an innocent bystander, Crockett's remarks exposed the absurdity of those claims with biting precision. She understood that audiences respond not only to facts, but also to the way those facts are framed, and she wielded humor as a scalpel, stripping away the protective layers Ivanka had built around her public persona. It was in these moments of quick-witted rebuttals that the crowd's energy surged, showing that Crockett's approach resonated far beyond the immediate exchange. What set Crockett apart in this clash was her refusal to be intimidated by the weight of her opponent's name. Many might have approached Ivanka with caution, careful not to appear too harsh against someone whose image has been carefully crafted as composed and elegant. Crockett, however, leaned into the contrast. She spoke with unapologetic directness, refusing to soften her critiques, and this boldness revealed a strength that Ivanka could not counter. Each precise point made Ivanka appear more defensive, more reliant on rehearsed lines, and less capable of responding authentically. In the dynamic of live television, where hesitation or nervousness can be magnified instantly, Crockett's unwavering composure only heightened the sense that she was fully in command. The precision of her dismantling also lay in how she grounded her arguments in reality. Rather than relying solely on rhetoric, she backed up her sharp comebacks with facts, examples, and a clear understanding of the issues being discussed. This balance of substance and style meant that her takedowns were not just entertaining, they were also intellectually compelling. Viewers could see that Crockett was not only witty, but also deeply knowledgeable, which made her words carry greater weight. This is why her fearless approach did not come across as reckless, but instead as credible and authoritative, because she anchored her delivery in truth. Another aspect of Crockett's delivery that amplified the impact was her ability to pace the exchange. She did not rush, nor did she allow Ivanka to dictate the tempo. Instead, she maintained control of the rhythm, pausing just long enough after sharp remarks to let the crowd react, then moving forward with the same confidence as though she knew exactly where the conversation was headed. This rhythm made her dismantling even more effective because it allowed the audience to fully absorb her points while keeping the pressure squarely on Ivanka. In moments where Ivanka hesitated or faltered, Crockett's calm but cutting delivery highlighted the contrast between the two, making Ivanka's arguments appear weaker by comparison. It is important to note that dismantling an opponent's arguments on live television requires more than intellectual sharpness. It demands emotional intelligence and awareness of how words will land with both the opponent and the audience. Crockett displayed this awareness throughout, tailoring her remarks to not only dismantle Ivanka's statements, but to also connect with the viewers in real time. Her wit was never wasted. It always had a target and a purpose, ensuring that the energy of the crowd stayed aligned with her message. This level of strategic communication made her performance resonate far more than a dry debate filled with facts alone could have. Crockett's precision also stemmed from her refusal to be reactive. While Ivanka attempted to steer the exchange into safer territory or project an air of control, Crockett consistently redirected the focus back to the core issue. She did not let herself be pulled into tangents or traps, but instead cut through to the heart of Ivanka's positions, exposing contradictions with surgical accuracy. This level of discipline under the pressure of live television was another testament to her skill and preparation. It made clear that her fearless approach was not reckless improvisation, but rather a calculated strategy executed with poise. Ultimately, what the audience witnessed was the rare combination of fearlessness and intellect converging into a single performance. Crockett's fearless delivery ensured that no point went unchallenged, while her wit and precision ensured that every challenge landed with maximum impact. The dismantling of Ivanka's arguments was not simply a matter of winning a debate point. It was a larger moment of exposing the fragility of a carefully crafted image when confronted by unfiltered truth. In this way, Crockett's presence on that stage became larger than the exchange itself, embodying the very idea that courage combined with clarity has the power to unravel even the most polished facades in real time. The live audience's eruption reflected a broader public sentiment against privilege and unaccountability in a way that demonstrated how deeply people crave authenticity in political discourse. When Jasmine Crockett delivered her sharp responses to Ivanka Trump, the reaction in the room was not just about entertainment or the drama of a televised clash. It was about a collective recognition of someone voicing frustrations that had long been simmering among ordinary people. The cheers, applause, and spontaneous energy that filled the space were a signal that the confrontation resonated on a deeper level. It was not merely Crockett besting an opponent, it was symbolic of an imbalance being addressed, of someone standing up to a figure who often appeared untouchable because of her last name and her insulated world of privilege. This eruption can be seen as a mirror of a broader cultural and political moment where audiences are increasingly skeptical of figures who represent inherited power rather than earned credibility. Ivanka Trump has long been criticized for embodying a kind of privilege that shields her from the struggles of everyday people while still allowing her to project influence over issues that affect millions. When Crockett stood her ground and challenged her head-on, it broke through the usual dynamic where powerful individuals often speak without facing immediate pushback. The crowd's reaction revealed not only agreement with Crockett's points, but also relief that someone was finally articulating what they had been thinking, making the moment bigger than the individuals on stage. The reaction also highlighted how live audiences are not passive participants, but active interpreters of what they witness. The cheers and eruptions of support were not random outbursts, but a way of collectively affirming Crockett's words. It showed that the audience was aligned with the idea that accountability must apply to everyone, regardless of status or background. Ivanka's attempts to deflect or maintain composure fell flat in that context, because every polished but empty statement contrasted sharply with the raw energy of the room. The louder the applause grew, the clearer it became that the crowd was not just entertained, but empowered by seeing privilege called out in real time. Another layer of this audience response comes from the frustration many people feel about the gap between political elites and the lived experiences of everyday citizens. For years, public trust has eroded as people feel that leaders, or those with access to power, live by a different set of rules. The eruption of the crowd during Crockett's remarks symbolized a kind of collective pushback against that perception. It was as if the audience was not only reacting to Ivanka, but also to a larger system that allows individuals with wealth and family connections to exert influence without facing the same scrutiny others would endure. Crockett's words became a vessel for expressing a sentiment that extended beyond the room, and the eruption was the visible manifestation of that shared frustration. The symbolism of the crowd's reaction also speaks to how live political moments can create a sense of unity among people who may otherwise feel disconnected from one another. In that instant, every cheer and every clap was part of a larger chorus saying that accountability matters and that privilege should not shield anyone from critique. This sense of collective energy reinforced Crockett's points and magnified their impact. Words spoken on stage became more powerful when validated by the audience's eruption, creating a cycle where each line landed harder because it was met with such an emphatic response. For viewers at home, the sound of the crowd underscored the legitimacy of what was being said, making the confrontation resonate far beyond the studio. It is also worth noting that the live reaction highlighted a changing expectation in public discourse. Audiences no longer want vague reassurances or surface-level statements. They want directness, they want honesty, and they want those in power to be challenged openly. The eruption made clear that the public is tired of privilege being presented as expertise and of accountability being dodged through carefully rehearsed language. Crockett's sharp responses tapped into that demand, and the crowd's energy confirmed. This was not simply about politics. It was about values, about a desire for fairness, and about pushing back against the idea that influence should be immune to scrutiny. The way the audience revealed the emotional undercurrents at play. For many, seeing Ivanka Trump on stage brought to mind the broader controversy surrounding her family and the sense that rules often bend for the powerful. Crockett's words punctured that dynamic in a way that felt cathartic for the crowd. The eruption, then, was more than approval, it was a release, a collective exhale of pent-up feelings about privilege and power being directly confronted. This kind of catharsis is rare in political discourse, where conversations are often sanitized or controlled, but live television provided the space for that raw and authentic expression. The broader public sentiment reflected in the eruption also speaks to a shift in how people view leadership and credibility. Where once polished presentation and family legacy might have been enough to command respect, today's audiences are increasingly drawn to authenticity and resilience. Crockett embodied those qualities in her fearless delivery, and the audience rewarded her for it.